Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us tonight for KWBJ News. It's Thursday, August 1st, 2014. It was a scene observed around the world. The Cajun Coast Welcome Center in Morgan City headlined national news networks when it nearly collapsed into a swamp more than 2 years ago. Executive Director of the Cajun Coast Visitors and Tourist Center, Carrie Stansberry, in tears in 2012 after witnessing the $3.8 million facility almost in shambles. Also that same year, Facebook subscribers responded to the near failure of the construction with mixed reactions, calling the building a failure to the public. And now, joy. Joy spread across Stansberry's face, including area officials and the Tourist Commission, who sprung into action to go forward with plans to showcase what natural habitat festivals and other events St. Mary Parish has to offer. Legal attorney Gary McGoffin, the attorney behind the legal settlement, nearly became emotional when he recalled the resilient actions of both Stansberry and the Tourist Board.
I came here 2 years and 2 months ago and had no idea this could be possible. They stuck with it. We didn't know each other. I'm a strange guy from Lafayette. But they were here to do the right thing, and they saw it through, and a lot of you here supported them in that. A lot of people in the community did not, and that made it hard, because after this went down, if you'll recall, the power plant blew up, and it was the fault of the Welcome Center. And then a barge hit the bridge, if you'll remember, and it was because of the Welcome Center. And Carrie couldn't go to McDonald's without having to hear about this. So the board, stuck with it, had faith. We were very fortunate. All the professionals who had been involved with this project up to that point in time wanted to do the right thing. They were well represented. And everybody came together with the common understanding that we needed to fix the problem rather than fix the blame.
The final cost of the building, including repairs, $7.13 million. In an interview with Stansberry, she says no public funds were used to construct the Welcome Center.
The Tourist Commission saved money. We used that money to bond, to get extra money. And we also got money from the Department of Natural Resources and some money from capital outlay. So, it's the money that we used was tourism, and it could not be used for anything else.
The second day of qualifying has wrapped up, and a number of races in St. Mary Parish has begun to take shape. Here's a quick look at the local primary election so far. Now, candidates interested in running for local office have one more day to register at the Clerk of Court's office at the Parish Courthouse in Franklin. For more information, contact office personnel at 337-828-4100, extension 200. Hours of operation will resume tomorrow from 8:30 to 5 p.m. The City of Patterson plans to host a public meeting to discuss the city's new water plant. Earlier this month, city council members delayed awarding the construction contract after all bids exceeded the anticipated budget. Projected cost for the facility was $8.4 million, but submitted bids were well over $10 million. Mayor Rodney Grogan refused to use public monies to make up the $2 million difference. Now, city work crews are remodeling the water plant in hopes of decreasing the projected cost. Grogan contacted the engineer and contractor team at the West Wego water plant facility to assist Patterson in renovation efforts. The meeting is scheduled Thursday, August 28th at 5 p.m. at City Hall. A Morgan City man is behind bars following an investigation into illegal drug activity. On Wednesday afternoon, detectives with the St. Mary Parish Sheriff's Office searched a lot in the corner of 5th and Main in Morgan City and located Lortab and a stolen firearm. Authorities arrested Joshua Robertson. Deputies also seized $483 in cash. Authorities removed 2 impaired motorists from the roadway during early morning hours today. Just before 2 a.m., Berwick officers conducted a traffic stop on Highway 90 westbound. The driver, Gene Template, was suspected of driving under the influence. He was subsequently taken into police custody. Now, 2 hours later, Patterson police responded to a report of an erratic driver headed westbound on Highway 90. The motorist, Ira Langston Jr., registered a blood alcohol level of 0.199 grams percent. A coastal camp has been showing students the value of Louisiana's marshland for a quarter of a century. Now, during marsh maneuvers, 4-Hers learned how to preserve it. Philip Boudreau has the story.
Marsh Maneuvers, a week-long camp for 4-Hers, started 25 years ago, before there were iPhones or Facebook. Today, students attending Marsh Maneuvers can unplug from the wired world and connect to the coast. The camp, which started in Vermilion Bay and now takes place at the Rockefeller Wildlife Refuge in Cameron Parish, teaches high school students about the value of Louisiana's coastline.
Kids kind of respond to just, the experience of being out here in the marsh. They get to catch some crabs with a string and a piece of chicken and a dip net. They get to catch some fish. They get to actually do some water sampling to see what the oxygen, salinity levels are. So it's learning by doing.
During the camp, participants such as Kira Cates, a 4-Her from Union Parish, helped plant marsh grass along a bayou bank near Avery Island. She says coming from North Louisiana, she was unaware of the plight of the coast. The experience has opened her eyes to the need to rejuvenate Louisiana's disappearing marshland.
I know a lot of people where I come from, they don't really think about that stuff. And I didn't either until I came here.
In addition to planting marsh grass, students learn about the life cycle and food chain of species that live in the marshes. They see how pollution affects the coast and things they can do to help.
It's not just sitting in a classroom talking about it. We're doing things out here. We're learning hands-on.
Approximately 1,600 4-Hers have participated in marsh maneuvers during the past 25 years. Shirley says he knows of several who have gone on to careers focused on the coast as a result of their experience. Kyla Muse, a 4-H agent in Orleans Parish, says her campers were excited to learn about career possibilities.
They've even kind of started looking at job opportunities and careers in these fields where I don't think they were looking at that as an option for them before.
Marsh Maneuvers runs for 4 weeks with 4-Hers from across the state participating. Philip Boudreau, KWBJ News.
Marsh Maneuvers has taken place on Grand Isle for many years before it later moved to Cameron Parish. Around the bayou, a rare and arguably invisible amphibian could derail a proposed fracking operation in St. Tammany Parish. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has deemed 1,500 acres of private land where the drilling operation is planned as critical habitat for the dusky gopher frog, one of America's most endangered species. Indigenous to Mississippi, the frog hasn't been seen in St. Tammany since 1965, but the Wildlife Service argues it can be reintroduced to the area. Reed Hopper, attorney for the owner of the land, says the government is exceeding its authority with the ruling. Convicted killer Derek Todd Lee's request for a new trial has been denied. Lee was sentenced to death in 2004 for the murder of Charlotte Murray Pace of Baton Rouge. He is also serving a life sentence for a second murder and is suspected of killing 7 other South Louisiana women in a 6-year spree that garnered national attention. Lee's defense argues that he was incompetent to stand trial. His request is expected to go to the state Supreme Court, and if he is turned down again, the appeals process would begin. An unexpected twist in the Sorrento Police Department story. A recently retired assistant town clerk qualified yesterday for the office of Chief of Police. The election is to fill out the term of former Chief Earl Terrio, who resigned last year but had been elected to serve until mid-2017. Yesterday's qualification means voters in November could have a new police chief forced upon them on the same ballot, where they will be asked whether or not to dissolve the department completely. But the real twist is the candidate, Fern Barnett, a 71-year-old great-grandmother with no former law enforcement training. She is so far unopposed for the office. Stay with us. Your weekend weather forecast is coming up next with Edward St. Pé.